Tonight on News 5 Live, COVID-19 forces canoe paddlers to take to Zoom. 2020 census postponed yet again. Rescue workers share tips for safely removing victims from crash sites. And the former Deputy Prime Minister among those to be questioned when the Commission of Inquiry resumes. These stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something, the Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
I said, oh my God, you know what? I'm going to tell them my story.
At the moment, I may have been devastated, but looking back now, it's the best thing that ever happened.
I like to see the opportunity in every problem, and that's what keeps me going every day.
I wanted my work to have a different voice, to have a different narrative, to have to impact on a global conversation.
Caused intense flooding overnight in the western and southern parts of the country.
Yeah?
Do we need to renew the insurance policy?
The insurance policy? Oh, let me check.
Renew your policies, file a claim, and even send us a message using RFNG Online.
No, we're good. It says we're covered.
Okay, great.
It pays to get it right with RFNG Insurance, a Road Group company.
Belizeans will once again go to the polls on March 3rd for municipal elections 2021. Channel 5 will bring you all-day live coverage from all 9 municipalities. Our nationwide correspondents and in-studio analysts will provide you with up-to-date reports and commentary from 6 a.m. until the last vote is counted and results declared. Municipal Elections 2021, Wednesday, March 3rd, live on Channel 5 and on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
This newscast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Thursday, February 25th. I am Sabrina Daly. The Commission of Inquiry into the sale of government vehicles and other equipment at the end of the United Democratic Party's last day in government resumes on Friday. Former Deputy Prime Minister Hugo Pat will be among those appearing. He is facing scrutiny about the purchase of a 2020 Toyota Tacoma pickup truck. It was assigned to the Corzon North Area Representative and acquired at a much lower cost than what was valued by the Customs and Excise Department. According to documents already presented, the purchase was not approved by former Prime Minister Dean Barrow. Since the public hearings commenced on February 15th, former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, as well as Financial Secretary Joseph Waite and Head of the Vehicle Care Unit Ruperto Vicente have been summoned before the Commission. In respect of the vehicle in question, here's what Barrow had to say during the inaugural session.
The only other exception in the run-up to the general election came by way of a request from the then Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Hugo Pat. Again, the Deputy Prime Minister went directly to the Financial Secretary, who came to me. I spoke to the DPM and I said, but you know the policy anyway. I thought that also as a special favor, I would agree, and I so indicated to Joe Waite. What happened thereafter, though, was that the usual requirement from me that there be a customs valuation so that we could document that we were not selling for any undervalue did not happen. And I don't know whether it was because that didn't happen or whether there was some other reason, whether it just fell through the cracks. But that one did not come to me for my formal approval. Now understand that I'm not trying to, in any way, act like some artful dodger. I have said, and I repeat, that orally I had agreed. And if it had come with a customs valuation, I would have affixed my initials behind the words I approve. But it did not come. So, properly speaking, I never approved that one. Mr. Justice Sosa, during his entire tenure on the Court of Appeal, refused to have any policeman assigned to him as security and refused the offer of a driver to be paid for by government. Those two things over that 21-year period saved the government a great deal of money. In my view, it would have been churlish, mean-spirited in the extreme, not to have acceded to the request of Mr. Justice Sosa. So I told Joe, I certainly support it. Of course, be sure to get a valuation from Customs. That was done, and the file then came to me, all done by Joe, the valuation, the communication with Mr. Justice Sosa, and then the file came to me with the usual request for the waiver of the boarding and for the sale to Mr. Justice Sosa of the vehicle for the price fixed in consequence of the customs valuation. And I wrote, I approve, and initialed and dated that. Dr. Carla Barnett, who was, as you know, a senator, and who was not coming back into government no matter what, regardless of the results of the election. Which results people like you knew to be a foregone conclusion, Mr. Chairman, but it didn't matter. Whichever way it went, Carla Barnett was not coming back. She spoke to Joe and then spoke to me and said, listen, I've been a consultant. Well, she served, as you know, all over the place. Vice President of CDB, Assistant Deputy Secretary General at CARICOM. She said, look, I'm going back out and I'll be on, in effect, my words, not hers, the mercy of the world. I would like to, I won't have the money to buy another vehicle in a better condition than the one I'm currently driving. I would wish for you to make an exception to the policy that you've laid down and allow me to purchase my vehicle.
Belize Electricity Limited held its annual general meeting virtually this afternoon to shareholders only. It was the first AGM under the People's United Party government since the company's board of directors was reconstituted back in December. Led by Chairman Andrew Marshallek, the meeting focused on the company's fiscal performance over the past year and presented its accounts to shareholders. The last 12 months have also seen BEL, like other public utility companies, adjusting to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. News 5 understands that the purchase of power from Mexico has been an issue for BEL because of a scarcity of foreign exchange. A statement from the company is expected to be released on Friday. We'll have more in our subsequent newscast. Digital makeovers are coming for the Belize court system. Today, the Attorney General of Belize signed a memorandum of understanding with the Caribbean Agency for Justice Solutions to strengthen the courts and the Office of the Attorney General. The agreement includes provisions for the immediate implementation of e-filing for the courts and a digital case management system for the Court of Appeals. It also creates an online help desk to improve accountability and transparency. The initiative is a partnership between the Government of Belize, the Belize Judiciary, and Apex. Attorney General Magali Marin Young says the digital innovations will help modernize the system.
This software system is presently being used by the Caribbean Court of Justice and has allowed litigants to file appeal documents online all the way from Belize, Guyana, and elsewhere. I want to express my gratitude to Apex for reaching out to my office and being so willing to assist us in providing technical and developmental programs to strengthen and improve the judicial and administrative system here in Belize. It also memorializes this government's commitment to modernize the judiciary and to provide all the technical and other resources required to facilitate greater efficiency in the case management of cases, and that will facilitate the electronic filing of court documents.
Minister of E-Governance, Kevin Bernard, attended the MOU signing. Both the acting Chief Justice of Belize, Michelle Arana, and the acting President of the Court of Appeal of Belize, Minette Haviz Bertram, have embraced the initiative to digitize their respective courts as part of a wider effort to improve justice delivery through the development of online courts and digital processes. President of the Caribbean Court of Justice, Justice Adrian Saunders, noted that justice cannot be insulated from the digital revolution taking place in other sectors. Like so many things postponed due to the coronavirus, the national census taken every 10 years is being pushed back yet again. Originally rescheduled for 2021, the Statistical Institute of Belize now says they have opted to reschedule once more. So don't expect house-to-house census takers coming to visit you during the COVID-19 crisis.
Government looked once more at the situation at the start of this year, and so it was decided to postpone until May of 2022, and for several reasons. First and foremost being the safety of our census workers and our staff, as well as our respondents. As you know, census is a face-to-face type of activity, and having people going from community to community to various households increases the risk of spreading the virus greatly. There's also the issue of response rate. Within the context of a pandemic and a spreading virus, there is a very strong likelihood that we might get some resistance from households to participating just for safety concerns of their own. And we would not want to compromise the response rates of the census. And then lastly, the cost, of course, has to be factored in, because conducting such an activity within this environment would involve a sizable increase in what has been budgeted already, in terms of safety equipment, increasing the size of staff to accommodate for dropouts, as persons, may very well get exposed and need to be removed from the field and so on. So,
SIB is, however, getting ready to prepare the labor force survey in April of this year. The results will be shared in June. COVID-19 has claimed another event casualty. Today it was announced that the Belikin La Ruta Maya River Challenge, traditionally held on the extended March weekend, has been cancelled. The organizing committee says that after 24 consecutive years of the sport, the tough decision was taken, much to the disappointment to paddlers, as well as fans and communities along the Belize River Valley. They are, however, asking the public to stay tuned for details of virtual events they will be planning to keep paddlers and fans connected over the holiday weekend via their Facebook page and other online outlets. After the break, the Ministry of Health looks at its first 100 days. Details when we come back.
Belmopan, no better time than now. I am Ralston Fraser, Fraze for Mayor. I address you as your independent mayoral candidate with extensive experience. I have served you as councillor, as deputy mayor, as city administrator. As your mayor, I will stand with you. I will stand for you. I will not be pawn to any. On March 3rd, next week Wednesday, you can choose the good candidate. You can choose the better candidate. Or you can choose simply the best candidate to work with you. The power of history is in your pen. At the very bottom of your ballot paper, choose Ralston Fraser. Phrase for mayor. Simply the best candidate. No better time than now to be the change you seek. Thank you.
Start your year with a win with Belikin and its new promotion, Papa Stopper. Yes, sir. Every time you pop one stopper off our Belikin, make sure you check under the crown. If you see one bottle shape, you win one free Belikin. If you see one ball, you win $20. If you see one star, you win win $100. And once you say one diamond, you win $1,000. Sure, Bellykin again, you know. Papa Stopper. When you pop a stopper off a Bellykin, check to see if you're a winner. You can collect your free beer or $20 cash prize at the store nearest to you. If you win $100 or $1,000, redeem your prize at the nearest B&B sales center.
Promotion is valid until Saturday, March 27th or while supplies last.
Papa Stopper!
Bellykin, the beer of Belize.
In 2018, the PUP took over City Hall in the old capital, promising to always be about the people. And Bernard Wagner was sworn in as mayor, pledging to work in the best interests of the city's residents.
In the best interests of the residents of Belize City.
And in accordance with the Belize Constitution.
In accordance with the Constitution.
3 years later, as he seeks re-election, Wagner is glaringly exposed for using his office to serve his own business interest, as the City Council uses an internal memo to encourage council workers to sign up for personal loans with a company owned by the mayor himself, JBW Finance, a clear and blatant conflict of interest.
It's a conflict of interest, you'd agree?
I did not send any kind of correspondence.
You want it?
I own the business, of course I own it.
Right, so it's a conflict of interest, sir. You're the mayor. How
can it
would
be a
your office turn it down?
How can it be a conflict of
How would the council
interest?
turn it down, sir? It's the mayor's business.
It's a relationship with the manager of that business and the council. I'll leave it at that.
Essentially a relationship with your employee.
I'll leave it at that.
But we cannot and will not leave it at that, because such action by the mayor flies in the face of the Belize Constitution, Section 121 of which states that the persons to whom this section applies shall conduct themselves in such a way as not to place themselves in positions in which they have or could have a conflict of interest, or to use their office for private gain.
I own the business, of course I own it.
This is the very same Constitution which Mayor Wagner swore to uphold in serving the best interest of the residents of Belize City.
In the best interests of the residents of Belize City. In accordance with the Constitution.
I'll leave it at that.
Digi y el Banco Nacional de Belice se enorgullecen de asociarse con el gobierno de Belice para facilitar el desembolso de los fondos de la transferencia de efectivo COVID-19 de Belice a través de nuestra plataforma segura y fácil de usar MobilePays. Después de obtener la aprobación como beneficiario de los fondos de ayuda, se le informará por SMS cuando su pago mensual haya sido depositado en su cuenta de MobilePays, a qué tienda Digi o sucursal de Banco Nacional se le asignó y cuándo puede ir a cobrar. Debe traer consigo el teléfono al que se le envió la notificación para presentar su número de cuenta y para recibir su código de validación y recibo. También debe traer su tarjeta de seguro social válida. Después de que su información sea verificada, recibirá un código de validación que deberá dar al agente. El agente le entregará el monto total de los fondos asignados para ese mes y usted recibirá un recibo vía SMS con un número único de transacción. Digi y el Banco Nacional de Belice están comprometidos con el desarrollo de servicios innovadores en beneficio de todos los beliceños.
The contamination of water we all depend on is a very urgent issue. As Belize's popularity and industries grow, challenges increase. In this episode, we will examine the issue of water pollution in Belize. Water pollution is the contamination of water bodies, usually because of human activities. Water bodies include lagoons, rivers, aquifers, and oceans. On the marine side, the discharge of sewage and bilge water from cruise ships and other live-aboard vessels, in combination with unregulated development of coastal areas, has led to the degradation of marine ecosystems such as mangroves and coral reefs. Our inland waters are facing their own challenges. As agricultural development increases, pesticides, fertilizers, and waste products are running off into rivers. Increased river traffic from boat tours and sugar barges adds to the already stressful conditions of the freshwater ecosystems. In addition, companies that collect sewage sometimes dump the waste right into the waterways. Additionally, in densely populated areas like Belize City and Orange Walk, poor sewage designs result in the contamination of groundwater and of water bodies by both sewage and wash water. In many cases, homes and businesses dump their wastewater directly into drains, which leads to rivers and the sea. Wastewater, detergents, and petroleum collect in drains that empty into waterways, such as the New River and the Belize River. This, along with the runoff and discharges from the agricultural and industrial businesses, have been inadequately monitored and enforced. The answers to overcoming water pollution issues are fourfold: improved infrastructure, adequate treatment, increased legislation and monitoring, and of course, changing our habits for the better. While it is urgent that better management on a policy level is needed, there are a few things we can do at home to help. Ensure proper treatment systems are installed for all wastewater at your home and business. Don't dispose of oil from your automobiles or cooking and household detergents down the drain. And lastly, minimize the usage of chemicals and fertilizers and report any dumping into waterways to the Department of the Environment. The government has recognized the threat of inadequate liquid waste management and is working toward goals of reducing and reversing its effects. For more information on what's being done about water pollution and ways you can help, visit our website at doe.gov.bz. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
The positivity rate for COVID-19 is down to 1.4% from a whopping 65% in last November of last year. The latest figures show that there were 7 confirmed new cases, 17 recoveries, and 1 new death. Active cases are also down to 140 persons, with the majority being women. In a recorded statement from the Ministry of Health and Wellness on the acquisition of 1,000 COVID-19 vaccines from Barbados, Minister Michelle Shabat focused on the strides made in the fight against the deadly virus since taking office back in November 2020.
Since my appointment as the Minister of Health and Wellness last November, my mandate and personal commitment has been to reduce the infection rate of the COVID-19 virus countrywide. We immediately set about to include medical experts, both in private practice and in the public sector, to provide us with the best advice on how to accomplish this. The strategy devised included a decentralization and broad-based testing, reduction of waiting time to obtain test results, introduction of ivermectin and remdesivir, as well as convalescent plasma in our arsenal in this war against COVID-19. These, coupled with our varied public health measures and public education, has led us from an average of 200 daily positive results when we started to less than 20 per day.
The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, also known as IICA, is piloting a voluntary third-party quality assurance project in Belize and Honduras. Today, a virtual ceremony was held to officially launch the initiative that is expected to empower the private sector to set standards for food safety for public health and trade. Baja Acting Manager Director Francisco Gutierrez provides an overview of the project, which began in October 2020.
The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, will be the implementing agency for this project, which officially started on the 12th of October of 2020 and will end on the 11th of October of 2023. It has an estimated budget of $942,612 United States dollars, of which $619,916 will be coming from the SCDF and $322,696 will be in-kind contribution from the parties. As stated earlier, this pilot project is closely linked to the ongoing work in the Codex Committee on Food Import and Export Inspection and Certification Systems.
The objective of this pilot project seeks to drive up compliance with national food safety standards and regulations through better targeting of official resources to facilitate improved public health outcomes and trade opportunities. As you know, food business operators have the primary role and responsibility for managing the food safety of their products.
The project will also look at legislative frameworks, capacity building efforts, and public-private partnership opportunities to facilitate changes to strengthen the food security management system. Minister of Food Security, Jose Abelardo May, says 3 sectors will be targeted in this pilot project.
In the case of Belize, the 3 sectors that will benefit from this pilot project include poultry, beans, and coconut sectors. Belize is an agriculture-based economy, and as we strive towards securing a diversified and vibrant food supply, it is almost always with the intended purpose to grow domestic production outwardly towards an export frontier.
In an update to a story from June, construction of a fuel depot and convenience store near the outskirts of Punta Gorda has been halted by the Central Building Authority, following an outcry from residents who raised concerns of public health and safety. In January, a site visit was conducted and several issues of non-compliance with the approved building plans were identified. This week, the director of the Central Building Authority ordered the project to be put on hold until the developer can adequately address these concerns. The issue dates back to June 2020, when a public meeting was held by residents who disapproved of the planned development.
We're a major stakeholder right next door, the Seafront Inn. No one consulted us that this is going to happen. Any of this, suddenly, where's the wall that would retain, that would keep privacy? It's going to affect it. But this is a systemic problem that has taken place for about 25 years within PG, long before I got here, because when we had the chance, we did not put into place zoning to where we protected certain areas like the coastline and reserved it for businesses that are reserved for tourism and residency. I'm not opposed to business. Put in a fishing shop, put in a restaurant, put in a dive shop. No one's opposed to any of this. But I have an issue with this. And my issue is one, we haven't seen an environmental report. Where's Tide? Where is Tide? We're gonna have now 3 gas stations. If we get hit by a hurricane, how will we contain the toxic, the hazardous waste that is going to be released back into our marine system? But everyone screams the blues and we stop spearfishing, we stop all kind of stuff out there, yet we are bringing in a major hazard and we don't have the infrastructure in this town. And even if it's a man-made spill of gasoline, how will we contain it? How does Belize City come down here and tell us that our fire department can contain a spill of any kind? If a truck has spillage, these things happen. But if we get a catastrophic event on our seafront, we will have 3 major issues to deal with that we won't be able to deal with.
Coming up after the break, Corozal gears up for a by-election, and Mexico invites Belizean businesses to the E-table. Stay with us.
We're back again. This time, we're gonna make it better.
With a PUP central government and a PUP Belmopan City Council, united and strong, there will finally be real representation in the Garden City. Our people deserve to be heard. It is time for us to work together and move forward. On March 3rd, vote PUP down the line. Together for Belmopan, together with Plan Belize. Juntos con Plan Belize.
On Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, voters of the 9 municipalities will have an opportunity to elect the members to constitute their councils. On your ballot, it is your decision and choice. Exercise it. Be assured that the COVID-19 protocols will be in place for your safe voting. Let your decision be your choice. Voters must properly wear their face mask or other face, nose, and mouth covering, maintain consistent 6 feet social distancing, and sanitize hands before entering the polling station. Having entered the polling station, the voter shows his voter identification card and announces his name in an audible voice. All voters will be required to temporarily remove their face mask or nose and mouth covering for the purpose of verifying the facial identity of the voter. The first poll clerk verifies the particular of the voter on the voters list, while the second poll clerk verifies the particulars in the binder. The voter's name is then ruled off the voters list. The voter is then required to show his right index finger to ensure that he has not yet voted. The voter's right index finger is then sanitized. Allow finger to dry for 5 seconds before dipping it up to the first joint in the indelible ink. The voter is then directed to the presiding officer, who then initials a ballot paper and issues it to the voter, along with a sanitized pencil. The voter then proceeds to the polling booth and marks a cross on the right-hand side of the ballot, opposite the name of the candidates of his choice. With the ballot paper folded to conceal the vote, the voter shows the presiding officer her initials, places the ballot paper inside the ballot box, and then places the pencil in the container for used pencil for resanitization. The voter then exits the polling station. Remember, you are permitted to vote in Belize City for 1 mayor and 10 councillors. In Belmopan City and Towns for 1 mayor and 6 councillors. Disabled, elderly, and pregnant women will be given priority. Electors are encouraged to take along their voter identification card to their polling station to facilitate the process. Your ballot paper will be considered void if it does not have the presiding officer's initials, if the voter has voted for more candidates than there are seats, if the ballot paper is not marked for any candidate, if the ballot paper contains any mark that can identify the voter, and if the ballot paper is unmarked or void for uncertainty. Let your decision be your choice. Always remember to follow all COVID-19 protocols to keep safe. A message brought to you by the Elections and Boundaries Department.
What a beautiful morning in Popsville. Time to check the crops. Uh-oh, the insects are back. Farmer Ricky plans to double his dosage to get rid of these pests once and for all. Oh no, no more insecticide. Well, off to the store we go. Hey, it's good old Joe.
Good morning, Joe. I'd like to get 4 bottles of Compound V, please. I'm double dosing to fight back the insects. Compound V, you said? It doesn't sound familiar. Let me see what you have.
Ricky, where did you get this product? It doesn't have proper label information and could be filled with highly hazardous chemicals called persistent organic pollutants. You should really get one that's POPs free, which is safer and approved for pest control. Ricky, it's time we talked about the dangers of misusing highly toxic pesticides. Some pesticides contain highly hazardous ingredients that can harm you and your loved ones if handled incorrectly. So when we improperly store pesticides, it can affect our health in the long and short term. To be safe, make sure to remember these following tips to avoid unnecessary chemical exposure. It's important to always read your label fully before using any treatment on your crops. To avoid dangerous contact with pesticides, including airborne insecticides, make sure to wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Apply the recommended chemical dosage and use far away from human contact and from active winds. To avoid cross-contamination, make sure to follow these simple steps to dispose of pesticide containers. And no matter what you do, don't throw it in any old waste bin. Always make sure to triple rinse, puncture, and store separately for proper disposal.
And for an even safer approach to pesticide use, consider switching to organic farming and other integrated pest management processes.
For more information on how to dispose of hazardous pesticides, contact your local waste management agency or visit stopthepops.com for more details. Sometimes danger lurks where you least expect it. The more you know, the healthier you can grow.
Loose ends are being tied up by both major political parties ahead of the municipal elections next Wednesday in Corozal. The People's United Party is seeking another term of office under the leadership of Mayor Rigo Veos. The incumbent head of local government is being challenged by the UDP's Roger Arana, who has professional experience in working for the Corozal Town Council. With elections less than a week away, we got a final interview from both candidates and asked what the campaign trail has been like for each of them over the past few weeks.
The political climate in Corozal Bay is arguably twice as hot as anywhere else in the country where voters are eligible to participate in the upcoming municipals. That's because the electorate will cast separate ballots in that constituency to choose a town council as well as an area representative. The campaign for the incumbent party hinges on a track record that Mayor Rigoberto Veos says is a proud accomplishment for his team.
So far the campaigning has been very positive. It's been a couple of weeks now into the campaigning and now we are 1 week away from elections. And I can tell you that the people have been receiving us very nicely with kind hearts, opening their doors, and we are thankful for that. So we are very positive that next week, Wednesday, the 3rd, we will be victorious once again for another 3 years.
To remain in office for a second term, Veos will have to convince the voting public that the mandate given to the People's United Party in 2018 has been satisfied to the best of their ability. This notwithstanding strong criticism from the opposition.
We have not been promising anything. We have not been selling dreams to the residents of Corozal. I know what we're capable of. I have a good background experience working at the Corozal Town Council, and I know that we can carry out our essential functions with the revenues that we collect.
Those revenues, the shoe being on the other foot, have been critical in allowing the present administration to meet the needs of the people, while acknowledging that there is more to be done to improve the quality of life in Corozal Town.
There is a bit of work that we still have to do, and we recognize that, and we listen to the people every time we walk into their homes, telling us what they would like to see get improved within our municipality. And the major things has always been jobs and infrastructure. We know we have a pandemic, and when it comes to the pandemic, thanks to it, the economic life in Corozal was already a bit bad before that, and with the pandemic it got a bit worse, and hence the reason why it affected us negatively when it comes to creating job opportunities.
Falling short of creating meaningful employment has led to some degree of disenchantment. The United Democratic Party is hoping to capitalize on that shortcoming.
I can see that our supporters were waiting for us, and I can see that people that do not normally support us were also waiting. a bit disappointed about the present administration. So they were grateful for us to come by. We have had very good results, very good outcome from the campaign.
What the Corozal Town Council is banking on is a helping hand from the Britannia administration, which has promised to assist with the upgrading of streets.
We are positive, and now with a friendly central government, a government that has committed in helping us and supporting us, a PUP government, we are more than sure that we will deal with infrastructure. They have committed themselves in making sure that Corozal gets its streets paved.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
Former Corozal Mayor Gilberto Campos is running against the younger sibling of David Dito Vega next Wednesday in a by-election to represent Corozal Bay in Parliament. Vega died of COVID-19 complications on December 11, 2020, the day when he was set to be sworn in as a member of the House of Representatives. In the wake of the tragic loss, Elvia Vega has taken up the mantle of continuing with her brother's dream of serving the constituents of the Bay. She has been busy campaigning with the support of the People's United Party and was unavailable for interview on Wednesday when we visited Corozal Town. News 5 did have a chance to speak with her opponent, who has hit the ground running after a brief hiatus from electoral politics.
It has been quite a very good experience. It's something that I have done before. It's been a while since I hadn't been on the grounds for so long. I think it's over 4 years. Nevertheless, it's a very pleasant experience. I have been on the ground for about 6 to 7 weeks now. We've been doing a thorough house-to-house campaign, reaching out to the most parts of the constituency, as much people as we could from the Corozal Bay constituency. I've been accompanied by the mayoral candidate and the councillor candidates, who are a very dynamic, energetic, fairly young team, well experienced, well rounded, and it has been a wonderful experience going back to the people of Corozal Bay, asking for the opportunity to serve them or to represent them properly in the National Assembly.
Are there any concerns on your part as a standard bearer coming into a by-election, whereas in the previous general elections, the constituency had gone blue?
No, there is no concern. Of course, I don't take it for granted, but we have a history in Corozal Bay with the Corozal Bay voters. I do have a history. We have, most importantly, a very good relationship. I was elected 4 consecutive terms here in Corozal Town, and Corozal Bay is in Corozal Town, and we have that very solid relationship. I've been going back to visit them once again, this time asking to represent them in the National Assembly.
They may not be able to sit together in person due to COVID-19, but that is not stopping Belizean and Mexican business counterparts from joining forces. Today, the Embassy of Mexico, Coparmex, Quintana Roo, and the Ministry of Economic Development of Quintana Roo announced that the first virtual business roundtable, Mexico-Belize, will be held on March 5th. The event aims to identify potential buyers and suppliers of a variety of products and services and to invigorate the region's economy. Topics to be explored include software and app development, tourism services and transportation, logistics, business consultancy, education, supply solutions, and construction and renewable energy. The Embassy of Mexico is inviting interested Belizean companies, entrepreneurs, business associations, and others to meet with their counterparts from Quintana Roo in this virtual trade mission. For more details on participating companies and registration, please contact the Economic and Trade section at the Mexican Embassy and follow the Embassy's social media platforms for updates. When we come back, paramedics share how you can help if you come across a crash on the road, what to do and not do. Up next.
How can a productive sector grow when an important cost of production, fuel, continues to rise?
When he was opposition leader, John Briceño said the price of fuel was high because government collected too much taxes from it.
That amounts to more than 40% of the cost of fuel going to government by way of taxes, or 40 cents out of every dollar we spend at the pump is going straight to government for taxes.
And he kept repeating it everywhere he went.
It has been high because of the taxes. The last time I checked, the government was charging, of every dollar that you pay at the pump, the government was charging 50 cents. Almost 50% of what you pay at the pump goes to the government in taxes.
Briceño said government should have eased the burden on Belizeans by simply reducing the taxes on fuel.
Government can and should immediately reduce the tax on all fuel.
And everywhere he went, he kept repeating that too.
Cut the taxes, Prime Minister. The taxes on the fuel is way too high. And the people are punishing, the people are suffering because fuel is the engine of everything. We need fuel for everything in this economy.
So now that he is Prime Minister and the price of fuel keeps going up, why is that happening?
No, sometimes it's best you don't say anything.
And what is he going to do about it?
We don't know. We'll find out, that's for sure.
Currently, we're using Smart Elite VoIP calling plan. We use it interbranch, we use it to call outside, and we also use it to call internationally. It's far cheaper than what we used to have before. Our equipment, our new PBX box is new. So the PBX is very good because I can call to my Sartaneja branch, I can call to my Kikaka branch, I can call to San Pedro branch, and there's no cost using the PBS. Actually, right now, since we're in different locations, I can call main office from where I am at a no cost using the PBX system. I would recommend it, sure I would, especially the big enterprises who has a lot of employees. There's a lot of reduction in costs, 50% of saving. But that on a year, it's a lot of money that we're saving. Money that we could return to our members, since we give back dividend to our members.
Visit our showroom or call 670-6710 to find out how Smart's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
In the first 100 days of the new administration, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration has made great strides in advancing Belize's foreign policy and citizenship and immigration services in support of our national interests. Led by Foreign Minister Eamon Courtney, the Foreign Ministry has conducted high-level meetings with the Foreign Ministers of CARICOM and SICA. Bilateral meetings have been held with the ambassadors from Cuba, the EU, Guatemala, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Taiwan, the UK, the US, as well as the OAS, the UN Resident Coordinator, and the UNICEF representative. New ambassadorial and diplomatic appointments were announced to Mexico, the US and the OAS, Taiwan, the UK, Belgium and the EU, Cuba, Guatemala, El Salvador, and the United Nations headquarters. The Ministry continues to stridently support the Ministry of Health and Wellness's efforts to acquire COVID-19 vaccines and other initiatives through engagements with bilateral partners. With the government's strong commitment to climate action and sustainable development, the Ministry facilitated Belize's accession to the International Solar Alliance, an initiative by India and France to drive solar energy innovations in Belize. In the aftermath of Hurricanes Eta and Iota, the Ministry convened the Foreign Assistance Committee to coordinate support from donors to assist families affected by the floods in the form of food and household supplies, and PPEs were sourced for aid workers. The Office of the Agent to the International Court of Justice, in collaboration with its international lawyers,
is preparing Belize's counter memorial, which will strongly assert Belize's claim to all its territory, islands, and seas in accordance with international law. In the area of foreign trade, the ministry has been equally active. The ministry worked to reach an out-of-court settlement with St. Kitts and Nevis to end a dispute over trade in brown sugar. To secure Belize's access to the
The nation's school children may be hoping to resume in-person classes in September, but in the meantime, many are still on remote learning. This week, one school in the Stan Creek district received a most welcome donation of laptops that should really help the students and teachers keep up with their work.
Our mission at the Lille Academy is to educate students who finished Standard 6 but were unable to attend other schools. We have a strong background in social justice. We help the most economically deprived students, and we give them a secondary education that helps them to either go into the job market or to further their studies at other educational institutions. We have had people at the Lille Academy that not only have graduated from here, but they have gone on to pursue their PhDs. We are very proud of the work that we do. We believe that it is a help to the country, to our community. We keep students engaged, and we continually fix and tweak our curriculum to suit the needs of the students that we have here. I am so very excited and pleased and grateful and honored to have received a donation of 10 17-inch HP laptops that will come in very handy at this time. As you are aware that during the pandemic, even more so, we need to be working using online teaching and learning. And so our teachers and our students stand to benefit from this generous donation. I cannot continue to say anything other than I really need to thank our donor, Mr. Anwar Barrow, through Mr. Tom Scarborough and his niece, Verlene. Yes, and so we are very pleased. I am very happy as well with my vice principal, Ms. Gwen Garcia, for making the connection and letting people know more about DeLille and what DeLille does in this community. And so those computers will come in very, very, very handy. And I am speaking to any and everybody who wants to feel like if they give a donation and it will really work and give results, think about DeLille Academy.
DeLille is a continuing education school which opened its doors in 1998 and became a grant-aided school in 2006. It is located in the new site area of Dangriga. If you encounter a road traffic accident, do you know what to do? There are some basic life-saving skills that you can perform. It is almost always recommended that medical professionals respond to call for help. But there are times when accident victims may not be able to reach a hospital or get help on the phone. And as a passerby, you may be able to help them. Today, a veteran emergency medical technician shared some tips that you can use in extreme cases when help is not immediate.
Sometimes professional medical help doesn't arrive fast enough to accident scenes. This is why emergency medical technician Javier Canul encourages the public to learn basic first aid skills. Canul has been responding to accidents for more than 21 years. As an EMT with paramedic training, he knows the problems facing victims in remote areas or locations where people cannot get in touch with EMTs for instructions.
If you're on the road and you're in the middle of nowhere, after calling for help, you want to make sure that you are safe. You must be safe, because you don't want to go in there and then create problems. You become a patient yourself. And only if there is a potential danger for the patient, that's when we will take action. And the action that we would take is to try to remove the patients from where they're at so that we can take care of them properly away from any dangers.
And there is some technique involved to remove the injured person from the wreckage site.
If you're going to be pull anybody, You do not want to be dragging them left or right. There is a procedure called an inline position or in axis, meaning that if the spine is running this way, you pull them that way. If the spine is running that way, you want to pull them directly in that long line. According to the lining of the spine, that's how you want to pull the patient. So pulling them, and basically if you notice when Aaron was pulling Roy, he did the close drag. The first one is a close drag, held the close drag and his heads were resting in his palm of his hand to continue to secure that.
Once the injured is relocated to a safe area, you should also check for sign of life.
If they're not breathing, you need to open the airway. So there's two ways to open an airway, which is the head tilt chin lift, which you will use if you do not suspect spinal injury. If in the case of a traffic accident, you will always suspect spinal injury. If a car is running at 75 miles an hour, the body flying will be at 75 miles an hour too. So you will have to use what we call a jaw thrust maneuver. So what Aaron was doing was, without moving the spine, he actually pushed the chin back and pulled the chin up, and actually open the airway without moving the spine.
Canol says you can also save a life by stopping blood loss.
Most people who are on accident scenes normally would bleed to death. And bleeding to death, we can, instead of videoing, we can use our hands to stop bleeding, as demonstrated by the guys. And there's a thing called Stop the Bleeding, of which we started demonstrating. If it's on the extremities, and the extremities are your arms and your legs, if there is a pool of blood and it continues to bleed, then we have to use what we call a tourniquet. Get your sterile dressing, and that is what you will push in the wound. Push it in as far as you can go. The patient will cry out, he's in pain, but that will save his life. These are called junctional areas. Okay, you can't put a tourniquet. If it's on the trunk of the body, you can't pack anything, because if you pack, you might damage and contaminate the internal organs, and so you might just apply direct pressure. If it keeps bleeding, you apply additional stuff. Do not remove the first layer.
Canol is co-owner of ABC Life Support, which teaches first aid and accident response. He advises that you carry a first aid kit and learn basic first aid response, which can be used to help save a life. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
After the break, one family's quest to bring butterflies closer to Belizeans and visitors alike. Don't go away.
For 13 years, the UDP told all kinds of lies.
They inherited a healthy economy.
The truth is slowly coming out now.
The past Prime Minister told them that whoever took over would be facing a tough situation and decisions will have to be made.
They will never tell you why the government broke. That they hired hundreds of cronies and ghost workers, taking the wage bill from $234 million in 2008 to $684 million in 12 years. Barrow is responsible. Perifete is responsible. Faber is responsible. Belize, we can't forget.
Research on the impact of COVID-19 infection on pregnant women is limited. Right now, pregnant women are at higher risk of severe illness than the general population. Pregnancy can affect the way a woman's body handles respiratory infections. If you are pregnant, protect yourself against COVID-19. Wash hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer if soap and water are not available. Cover cough or sneeze with tissue and throw used tissue in a bin. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Practice physical distancing. Work from home if possible. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough, and cold or flu-like symptoms. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands with soap and water. If you have fever, cough, and feel extra tired, call 0800-MOH-CARE. Help keep Belize safe.
Hello. Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's Twice as Nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate, man.
My name is Patrick Williams, and I am offering myself as a councillor candidate this coming municipal election. I have been working tirelessly around the city, tackling issues such as road maintenance, garbage disposal, and drainage work to allow flow of water. When elected, I can reassure work will continue throughout our city and improve the living conditions for all citizens. Belize City deserves better through transparency, integrity, and unity. On March 3rd, make the right choice by voting Patrick Williams from the Belize Progressive Party. This is a new generation of leadership, and change starts now.
Most people only see Belize's beautiful butterflies one at a time when they land on a garden flower. But imagine being surrounded by them all the time. Tonight, News 5's Andrea Polanco has a story about the people in the Stan Creek district who care for these delicate creatures from the time they are eggs through to their gorgeous metamorphosis. In return, the butterflies have helped the family business go through its own.
There are more than 3,000 butterflies in Yashkin Butterfly House. Inside, you can find more than 8 native species, including the striking owl butterfly and the magnetic blue morpho.
What actually amazed me is we are one of the specific special fish. The species is the blue morpho. You know, I never thought one day that we would be able to grow those, and they are very, very beautiful. You know. It's amazing how they start from eggs up to the pupa, yeah.
Is it difficult to maintain them, to keep these 3,000 plus butterflies?
Well, it is difficult. Yeah, we have a few also staff working with us. Without them, we will not be able to reach where we are today. So it is a difficult task. It's very tedious, and you have to have the passion for it as well.
And that passion runs deep in the family. Javier Saki prides himself on caring for thousands of butterflies and keeping the population replenished and healthy.
I really love what I do, especially working with the butterflies. If the first thing in the morning that we do, we come inside, clean up the butterfly house. We put fresh leaves inside here for egg laying, and then we make sure that their foods are fresh, that they have enough sugar and water inside the feeders.
Yashkin Butterfly House. It's a small family-owned business. The Sakis simply wanted to bring a new attraction in their home village of Maya Center on the Southern Highway.
As a family, we decided that we want to do something unique in the St. Croix district, since it is a hub for the tourism industry. We are close to Placencia as well as Hopkins, so we came up with this idea to do butterfly farming. And it's basically just for display, since we are at the entrance of the Jaguar Reserve as well, so we have tourists coming in and going out.
That's how they came up with the idea for a butterfly farm in 2016. It was mostly trial and error because the family didn't know anything about the butterfly business. They started from scratch with just a dream.
How to actually grow butterflies, what do they feed on, what do they, where do they lay their eggs. We had to do all of those. We had to go into the forest, try get some butterflies and see how they lay eggs. We bring them in here, and all of those that we had to do. It is a long process, but we know it's going to be something that's a challenge for us. We haven't no experience on at all, but we know it's going to happen, so we push forward for it.
With financing, research, and hard work, they opened their doors to the public in 2019. And that's how they created Belize Pupae Supply and Yashkin Butterfly Farm, the only one of its kind in Stan Creek. For this enterprising family, it is just as much about a new experience as it is about education in conservation.
We love having visitors here, and we have been getting locals as well, and we also do educational tours for kids. So this butterfly farming is also a part of conservation, so it plays a big role in conservation. So, we do educational tour for kids, like I said, we love having children here to explain to them the life cycle so they can see for themselves. They learn it at school, but not, when they come here, they see the whole process.
But as the pandemic hit the tourism industry, the visits to the Yashkin Butterfly Farm dwindled. And that's where the other branch of their business, called the Belize Pupae Supply, comes in. In part 2 of our story, we'll tell you how this small, thriving business is tapping into the exportation of pupas and other opportunities in the booming billion-dollar business of butterflies. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
If you enjoyed that story, we hope you will join us for more on the business side of Belizean butterflies on Friday. And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.